Detroit loves him. He was a real Detroiter who was about people, community, and about uplifting life. It was embedded in him, and you can feel it in his food, in his restaurant, and his demeanor when you approach him. Very approachable. Just loved the city of Detroit. Loved his people.
My brother took care of a lot of people. He provided a lot of jobs. Now I just ask that you guys help him out this one time and speak up. Our father passed when I was 1 year old. He was 5 years old. And my oldest brother was 10 years old. He taught me how to play basketball. He was always on me about my grades and my behavior.
3 people were shot outside Suite 100 on Schaefer Highway at 4:20 in the morning. 2 of them survived. The one who didn't, the one found lying across the street alone, while the city he loved was still asleep, was the same man who had spent the last 2 decades making sure Detroit had somewhere to go, something to celebrate, and someone in their corner. His name was Michael Brown. Everyone called him Mike B. No arrests have been made, no suspects named. And the people who knew him best are still asking a question that hangs over this city like smoke. Welcome to Insanity True Crime. To my loyal subscribers, I pray your families remain safe and protected wherever they are. If you're new here, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We bring you the untold details of true crime cases, the facts others leave behind, and the truths that deserve to be heard. Today, we're going to Detroit, Michigan. And we're going to talk about the life, the legacy, and the violent death of one of the city's most beloved figures. Here's what we know. Mikey Brown built his name from nothing. From party promoter to club owner to the man behind one of Detroit's most recognizable restaurant brands. He was 51 years old, a husband, a father of 5. He was found outside a cocktail bar he didn't own, at 4 in the morning, shot, while 2 other victims lay feet away on the same street. The bar closed. The city mourned, and investigators are still piecing together what happened in those dark minutes outside Suite 100. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly who Mike B. was, what he built, and why the circumstances of his death are raising questions this city hasn't fully confronted yet. Michael Brown grew up in Detroit at a time when the city was learning to survive itself. He graduated from Southfield Lathrop High School and took the path that many young black men in Detroit's entertainment world took, starting as a promoter, learning how rooms work, how people move, what makes a night worth remembering. He understood people before he ever understood business. For more than 20 years, Mike B. became a fixture, not just in one corner of the city, but across it. Downtown, Dexter Avenue, the West Side. If something was happening in Detroit, there was a good chance Mike B. had something to do with it. He built Sloppy Chops, then Sloppy Crab. The Sloppy brand wasn't just a restaurant, it was a gathering point. People came for the food and stayed because of what the room felt like, because of what he created in it. He hosted Murda the Mike Night every week for years. Hip-hop heads packed the house. Artists who are still performing in the city got their first real audience there. Bonds formed in that building that are still standing today. He had 12,000 followers on Instagram, which, for a Detroit entrepreneur who wasn't an athlete or a media personality, is a quiet testament to how many people were genuinely watching what he was doing. And his 5 children grew up in his feed. Baby photos, prom send-offs, graduation days. But there is one post in particular, from 2020, written after he lost a friend, that reads differently now. Life is short, and time is something we can't get back. Love your family and friends now. Even when you're busy, make time to check in on your family and friends. He wrote that. He meant it. And 5 years later, his own family would be the ones left wishing for more time. But what very few people outside his inner circle knew was that Mike B. was in the middle of something bigger. His restaurants were growing. He had plans. And on the night he died, the city was about to get a painful lesson in just how fragile momentum can be. By 2026, the Sloppy brand was expanding. The new wave of black-owned establishments was finding footing in Detroit's revitalized neighborhoods, and Mike B. was positioned at the front of that wave. DJ Motor City, one of the city's most celebrated DJs, wrote about him after his death. He created more than a restaurant. He built opportunity, community, and a gathering place where people from all walks of life could come together. He employed people. He invested in the culture. He showed up to community events. He made sure no one around him went hungry, literally and figuratively. When Maya Jones, a local nail technician and fashion designer, heard the news of his death, she wrote something that stopped people mid-scroll. "Why would anyone kill Mike B? This man literally hosted my mom's memorial service for free for my family, out of the love and kindness of his heart." But while Mike B was building his legacy, there was a world operating parallel to his. A late-night world on Schaefer Highway that he moved through, that Detroit moves through, that February night would bring crashing into his story in a way no one was prepared for. It was a Friday night into Saturday morning. Detroit's West Side was doing what it does, alive with the late-night energy that the city has never quite been able to fully contain. Suite 100 Lounge sits at 15789 Schaefer Highway, near Puritan Avenue, a cocktail bar. Part of the late-night ecosystem that Detroit's residential West Side has debated for years. The kind of establishment that goes dark well past 2 a.m., when state law says bars and restaurants can no longer serve alcohol. Per Michigan state law, bars cannot serve alcohol after 2 a.m. and cannot remain open past 2:30. At approximately 4:20 in the morning, nearly 2 hours after that legal window closed, shots were fired outside Suite 100. 2 victims were found in front of the lounge. Michael Brown was found across the street. That detail, found across the street, is one that investigators have not publicly explained, and it raises questions about what happened in those final moments that the community is still waiting to understand. Detroit Police Department Media Relations Director Jasmine Barmore confirmed officers responded to the location around 4:20 to 4:40 a.m. 3 people shot. 2 survived. Michael Mike B. Brown, 51 years old, did not. The conditions of the 2 surviving victims were not publicly released. No suspect description was issued. No arrests were made. The DPD extended condolences to the family and immediately asked the community for help. Within days, his brother Myron would stand before cameras and make a public plea that cuts to the core of what this city lost and why someone needs to come forward. Myron Brown lost his father when he was 1 year old. Mike B. was 5. The oldest brother was 10. 3 boys, no father. And somewhere in those years, Mikey Brown decided he was going to be the one who held it together. "He taught me how to play basketball," Myron said publicly after his brother's death. "He was always on me about my grades and my behavior. My brother took care of a lot of people." He described Mikey as a devoted husband, a father to his 5 children, a father figure to Myron himself. Pastor Maurice Mo Hardwick, founder of the Live in Peace movement and a man who knew Brown well, put it this way: "Detroit loves him. He was a real Detroiter who was about people, community, and about uplifting life. Community was embedded in him, and you could feel it in his food and his demeanor when you approached him." Hardwick was direct about one thing: it doesn't represent him and his character. The way he died had nothing to do with the way he lived. But even as the tributes poured in, investigators had little to work with, and the circumstances of that night were forcing a much larger conversation about the city he gave so much to. As of this video, no arrests have been made in the death of Michael Brown. No suspect description has been publicly released. Suite 100 Lounge closed following the shooting. Detroit police and Crime Stoppers are urging anyone with information to come forward. Tipsters can call 1-800-SPEAK-UP. Callers will not be identified. What investigators know publicly: 3 people were shot outside a bar at 4:20 in the morning. 2 survived. The circumstances that brought all 3 of them to that location at that hour have not been disclosed. Mike B's death did not happen in a vacuum. Detroit's West Side has long carried a complicated relationship with late-night establishments. Bars and clubs that attract traffic, energy, and occasionally violence into residential blocks where families are trying to sleep. Michigan law is clear: no alcohol service after 2 a.m., no operations past 2:30 a.m. The shooting happened at 4:20 a.m. Isaiah Zeke Williams from the Community Violence Intervention Group New Era Detroit addressed City Council directly in the days following the shooting. His message was not about punishing businesses. It was about protecting people. When we get a lot of our stats back, most of the crime and violence happens late night, he said. He described a woman who lives behind one of these after-hours locations, a mother trying to raise her children who has to worry at 3, 4, 5 in the morning about whether violence is about to break out on her block. Detroit City Councilwoman Angela Whitfield Calloway announced plans to take up the issue, signaling that an enforcement crackdown is coming. But for Myron Brown, for Mike B.'s 5 children, for every person who ever sat at a table in sloppy chops and felt like they belonged somewhere, enforcement changes are cold comfort. What they want is an answer. On March 8th, a balloon release was held at noon outside Sloppy Chops restaurant on West McNichols Road, the spot Mike B. built, the place his community called home. On March 13th, funeral services were held at Triumph Church, North Campus in Southfield. A family hour first, then a service, then the long silence that follows when a room like that empties out and people have to figure out how to go back to their lives. His restaurant's futures remain unannounced. No ownership transfer has been confirmed. What Mike B. was building, the expanded Sloppy brand, the community footprint, the plans that were in motion, all of it now sits in the kind of uncertain quiet that death leaves behind. This city had a man who spent 2 decades pouring himself into it, who employed people, who fed people, who made sure artists had a stage, kids had a meal, grieving families had a place to hold their memorials. And the city watched him get shot down at 4 in the morning outside a bar, with no suspects, no answers, and a case that is still wide open. The question Detroit is asking isn't just who pulled the trigger. It's why a city that loved Mike B. so publicly still hasn't given investigators enough to work with to answer that question. Dr. Sabrina Jackson, who knew Brown personally, described him as someone who made sure young people never went hungry. That was his baseline, not charity, not performance, just the standard he held himself to. In 2020, Mike B. posted a message after losing a friend. Life is short and time is something we can't get back. He knew it. He lived like he knew it. And on February 28, 2026, at 4:20 in the morning on Schaefer Highway, time ran out. Michael Brown was 51 years old, a husband, a father of 5, a builder, a community anchor. And right now, the people responsible for his death are still out there. If you have any information about what happened outside Suite 100 on the morning of February 28th, contact Detroit Police Department's Homicide Unit or call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-SPEAK-UP. For the Brown family, we see you. Detroit has a stop snitching culture that's cost this city answers before. My question for you is this: do you think that culture is what's standing between Mike B.'s family and justice right now? Let me know in the comments. Next video, we're going to a case that starts with a missing person report that police almost didn't take seriously. And the reason they almost didn't take it seriously will tell you everything about what's broken in the system. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Thank you for watching Insanity True Crime. Stay safe, stay aware. And remember, the truth always deserves to be heard.